Let's see. All right, let's start.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello, heroes. This is episode 10 of the Tuesday Tournament Reviews. In this series, I have a guest who brings me a tournament and we go through all the questionable hands together. My name is Waldemar Kweiser. I'm a longtime poker pro and one of the steadiest winners in mid-stakes tournaments. And I'm also the founder of Check Decide, which is a tool to compare decisions, to upload full tournaments, full cash game sessions, share it with your friends only or publicly, and to compare decisions. So, for example, this week's guest, Hattie, who is a regular in our Discord server. Hello, Hattie. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How's you?
Pretty good, thank you.
Good.
So Nick uploaded a tournament of his, and I went through all the hands. Whenever you are in Check Decide and you have access to a hand, you face exactly the same action buttons as the original player. So for example, in this hand, I have to make my decision, and let's say I fold this, and then my fold is booked as a mismatch. It's not saying whether I played it correctly or Nick. It's just about comparison play. So we can see that he elected to call. And on the flop, once again, I have to make a decision. This time, my check matches Nick's original decision. And facing the c-bet, when I reviewed the hand, I was sloppy and I just check folded. But I really, really like the check raise which Nick did with this hand, especially in low stakes tournaments where like players don't float enough and probably open too wide, considering the stacks. You can put a huge pressure on this guy. So I really, really like this this check raise. We will see that fairly soon, like how we can display a review. But let's say I just check fold here, and I can see that Nick decided to check raise, and the hand is over. And by the end, I can see that in this hand, my total match percentage is 33%, and for the whole tournament, my total match percentage is 74%. So if you open the multibar, you can select my name, and you can see which hands we should discuss and which hands we shouldn't. So this is how Check Decide and how Tuesday tournament reviews work. And this is part 3 of this tournament. So we are already on the final table. And as far as I can recall, we have a big stack. We are one of the chip leaders. And yeah, but before we jump into this, we are still very close to New Year's. And I think we haven't discussed, like, Nick, do you have any like New Year resolution or what's your plan? What are your plans for this new year?
I don't really do them, to be honest. What I have done this year is I've bought myself a whiteboard and I put it in the office. So I've got my vision. So I put a vision on it and I put a chart with every day of the month. So I'm trying to meditate. So I suppose you could say that's a resolution. So I've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the month. And I've got like little marks for one for meditating, one for studying, one for playing, one for exercise. So then I tick the boxes every day I've done it. So up to now, the meditating is going good. The exercising not so good.
Okay. Yeah, with exercising, my best tip, I probably have mentioned already, but it's just so valuable that I cannot repeat it enough, that the concept of low bar. So whenever you try to pick up a new habit, you should set a very low bar just for really completing it every day, just to make it making it to your habit to do something. So for example, with my running habit, this helps a lot. So even if the weather is really terrible, which is nowadays in Spain, surprisingly, but yeah, I can imagine the worst weather in Spain is probably one of the best days in the UK, right?
Yeah, you've probably still got your shorts on.
Yeah, but like it's like 0 degrees Celsius and
Yeah.
quite windy. So during these days, I'm not really a big fan of leaving the house, but as my low bar is just running around the block, it is very easy to complete it. It takes like 5 minutes, so there is no excuse not to do it, and it keeps my habit alive. And when we are going to have a sunny day again, or I just feel stronger, or I'm more relaxed, or I have more time, then I can go for a big run, like 10 kilometers, or that's a big run for me, unfortunately. Yeah, yeah. So this works pretty well for me, and it really makes this habit of mine like truly mine. Like I don't feel any pressure. I don't have any bad feeling about this habit. It's very easy to complete, and many times I run much more than my low bar. So yeah, I highly
But
recommend this with any habit.
when I was off work for the Christmas period, I've got a gym in my garage, so I was training quite a lot. Because before the children came along, I trained quite regularly. And I was in good shape. But now I've come back to work last week, and after work, I'm just on the couch like for an hour rather than being in the gym. So I don't need to get back into it.
Yeah, like one other thing about habits is that it is very important not to be like too critical, or not to tell yourself like bad words, like what a piece of shit you are. You had this resolution, and you failed, and you don't need to like bang yourself down just because you missed the day. It's very natural to fail a new habit when you're trying to build it. So you should just try to encourage yourself that like oh, it's okay, you failed today, but the main goal is not to fail like twice in a row or 3 times in a row. And if you have this attitude, then you probably build this habit much more successfully and much easier.
I've
Yep.
just started reading Atomic Habits because the James off one of your previous streams recommended it. So I started reading that, and there's a thing called habit stacking where you put a habit in on top of a habit what you do every day. So with meditating, I've started doing 10 minutes after having my morning coffee. So it's good. I get up, brush my teeth, come down, eat, coffee, meditate, and that's worked quite well.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. Like um what I pay attention to is to have a clear clue for any habit you are trying to build on. For example, for my running, the clue is quite clear, because I connected to having a walk with the dogs. So instead of having a walk with the dogs, I go for a run with them. One of the dogs really love it, and the other one just hates it. So, like,
Drag it
yeah, like you really have to just pull him. Yeah, he's a little bit overweight, and he loves eating. He's a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. Do you know that?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
quite a lazy type. Adorable, but yeah, whatever. So by connecting these two, I like this habit with my usual to do. It's very easy not to miss any day. So yeah, I highly recommend at least these two elements, like having a low bar and having a clear clue. If you can connect it to another habit of yours which you already have, that's even better. And actually you can, yeah, you can probably stack new habits, and then you at least don't have to think about it like what should I do, because it's very clear, the schedule, what
Yeah. What
yeah.
about you? You had any resolutions?
Yeah, like meditation, to get back to it, because I used to have it when I was active in my grinding career. Then I started managing Checklist, and somehow, some why I don't know why, but I thought it's different, so I gave up the habit of meditating, which was a mistake because basically the challenges are the same. So there are some elements you can control, there are some elements you can, like, you can improve yourself in certain areas, but in other areas you are just like basically exposed to luck in terms of like your coworkers, your developers, whether they run into some unexpected issue, or someone just like doesn't fulfill his promises. Yeah, like business partners, whatever, like it happens. So you have to deal with the same stress, the same challenges. You have to keep your mind really clear. So it took me 1 or 2 years of business life to realize that it's actually necessary in here as well. And also I'm planning to return to play at least a few sessions per week, as soon as possible. I'm like watching all these tournaments. Like in the last year, I think I reviewed at least 200 tournaments from my students. So I just feel an urge to actually,
Get an itch.
yeah, play and execute. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see who we have in the chat. We have F90. Yeah, he's Hungarian dude. Hello, and also Kovmiki, I guess he's Hungarian as well. Very welcome in the show. And yeah, let's jump into the final table. And I already see some HRC situations, like high ICM situations, where I'm pretty sure that you actually made some mistakes. So
It's not a strong point of mine.
yeah, but like talking about efficiency and New Year resolutions, whatever. One of the biggest, like the most efficient ways to improve in tournaments is to do HRC simulations, because it's just super efficient. Like high ICM situations are the ones where you actually can make big mistakes or very profitable easy moves, like even just an open fold can earn you money, or an open push can earn you decent money, or yeah, there are different situations. Sometimes you can be surprisingly aggressive with restills. Sometimes you have to just stay. We also have Dinesh. He's a student of mine. We just had our first hour today. Looks like a very cool dude. I'm looking forward to the future sessions. And yeah, let's see the we have already discussed this hand, so we can see that I agreed with the call. I just reclicked, so I agreed with the call, and I made a sloppy fold, but I very much agree with the check raise. Compared to what many people think is like flops with like two-tone flops, they only give connection to two of the colors by definition, and therefore your immediate fold equity, if you are just targeting total airs like ace 8 of clubs and stuffs like that, your immediate fold equity is higher if you assume that your opponent will mostly continue with backdoor draws and like immediate draws. They don't have many immediate draws, like maybe like ace 4 and ace 3, but that's about it. So this is a very good flop to run some light check raises. And this is the guy you want to put pressure on, because he has a lot to lose. He's third in chips, and there are many other smaller stacks. All right, let's see the next one. And yeah, this was a little bit spewy one. five use suited from the cutoff. Um, like I'm not saying it's bad because the other chip leader or the guy second in chip is in the small blind, so he's most likely gonna just fold. He doesn't have too much incentive to run big bluffs or get into the pot against you, the bigger stack. So I would definitely open very wide from here, but like, would you open like 100% here or?
No, I just like the probably most of the sorted stuff that can flop straights and flushes. Say, well, 5-2, 5-3, 5-4, 6-4, 7-5, things like that. I won't open like 7-2, 8-2, or 9-2.
Mhm. I think I would rather go with a hand like even like Jack deuce of suit than five deuce suited. Because with this stack depth, the playability of your hand is just not important. Because it will be a very rare case that you actually need to show down your hand. You either take it down pre-flop, or most of the time you take it down with a c-bet, or maybe you fire a second barrel, but that's about it. It's very very rare that you actually have to show it down. Surprisingly, you can fold. You can have some folds against this 8 BB stack, and the big blind. Yeah, he will feel quite a lot of pressure on him. So he will probably not defend wide enough, but it's still a little bit spewy. But I think against normal tight guys, this can be okay. I can imagine this making money. But the next one is not so great. So you go down to be a short stack. Let's see what happened to your stack.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it didn't save on the hand history. But I remember the hand. I ran ace king into kings and
Oh,
lost half my stack.
okay. Yeah, I was not able to find that hand, but yeah, that's a cooler. So anyway, you went down to 12 big blinds, so you
Yeah.
are now almost the shortest stack, and the cutoff opens. He's the chip leader, so you are right to assume that he's very wide. How wide do you think he is?
I think it can open quite a lot because, like I say, I'm not the shortest stack, so I have to tighten up a little bit. And the big blind's not going to defend much because he's obviously the second in chip, so he doesn't need to risk too much. So I still think he's going to be opening probably 50-60%, maybe even more.
Hmm. Yeah, like let's just take a look at what HRC is saying, and then we can do some adjustments. I'm switching to full screen to see HRC, and this is probably hand one. Yeah, player six opening, and yeah, if he opens 41%, then which is probably on the tighter side given the circumstances, then we can rejam ace 8 of suit. No, ace 9 of suit is the weakest offsuit ace you can rejam here. Let's just adjust this one and say that he's opening like 70%, which may be true, may not be, like probably 10 use jack tray and stuff like that. They are not open, but he may open these and definitely these. And then let's see, what's your best guess?
Yeah, it's not far off. I'd say something like that. I think it's going to be ace two is not going to be a jam. Still,
Well, the thing with the HRC is that often if you if there is usually a threshold, and if you go over that in terms of fold equity, then all of a sudden almost everything goes into the rejamming range. But it looks like 70% is not enough. So ace deuce of suit is still exactly 0% profit. So 0% of the of all the prizes on the final table. So this is a break-even push, and you probably don't want to do this. Yeah, it's surprising. Like, if someone tells me that he's opening close to 70% and only calling 20%, which is reasonable, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like the suited broadways and pairs and ace and most of the aces, not even all the aces he's calling with. So my guess would have been that this is probably a rejam, but it is not. So yeah, probably because you are basically in the same class as player 3 and player 4, who are with 13 big blind and 15 big blind, and yeah, basically the four of you in this are in the same class, so you have a lot to lose in this situation. So that's why you have to stay patient. So I think we can display this clip.
you're being desperate for that, aren't you?
Yeah, I like this one. I worked a lot on that.
It's good, it's good.
No, I actually it's not like really burning money, but it's questionable, and probably in weak final tables where most of the guys are just not familiar with these spots, they will probably make a lot of mistakes, probably not pushing light enough against you when they could, probably not folding marginal or strong hands when they should. So in these cases, I try to avoid any marginal break-even moves. So yep,
Yeah,
I think fold is better, but it works. So yep, it's okay. All right, the next one is this queen 6 of suit. Yeah, like obviously the big blind can put a lot of pressure on you, but most of the time, for example, this is a situation where I think they will be somewhat cautious to do so because he has a lot to lose. So and most of the guys just don't find the 2.2 2.5x bluff raises as often as they should, with hands like 7 deuce of suit and 8 tray of suit and stuffs like that. So I think you can limp a little bit wider than you should. This is a limp probably in any case. And on this flop, I think your range is just much stronger than the big blinds range. We can agree on that. So normally you have to be very careful continuation betting in limp pots, small blind versus the big blind. But when there are 2 or more broadways on the flop, then against most of the guys you can get away with c betting close to your range or whatever it makes sense with. So I like the bet, and you got called, and you decided to make a second barrel with this one. I really dislike this. Are you still a fan of this, or what was your thought process?
I just didn't think he had many strong kings because I think pre-flop he'd raise king queen, king jack, king 10, king 9, king 8. So I really put him on like a 2 or maybe some like jack 9, queen 9 kind of hand. So I thought I'd just go for the max pressure.
Yeah, but I think you have just two. Like I completely agree with you. Like he shouldn't have any kings. Like very rarely only. But I don't see them folding 10x ever. And I don't see them folding deuce x basically ever, or or not frequently, that's for sure. And you have a lot of like natural bluffs, as you mentioned, just Jack 9, Queen 9, Queen Jack. Maybe if you trap some hands like Ace Jack or Ace Queen, that's also an okay bet, or it can, those can even be checked. But my main problem is that with the Queen, you block many of his potential straight draws.
Yeah.
So the reverse blocker effect of this hand is just quite bad for you. So if you do this with something like whatever, like a very low card, like no hand no draw, but like 5 high or 6 high or 7 high, like sometimes, then those can work because you can fold out some of those gut shots which you don't block. But with the queen, you block some of his weakest floats on the flop. Like he can even call you without a gut shot with some queen. Like he should definitely call with any queen x backdoor flush draw, jack x backdoor flush draw. And I think they actually call those against the 1BB bet. So blocking many of those, I think it's better to just check this. And yeah, you should probably bluff some very no equity hands, like not
Yeah.
blocking any backdoor flush draw, and not blocking any gut shot, not blocking anything connected to the flop. Yeah, so I think yeah, it's okay. For the same reasons, I don't really like. I wouldn't like to see a river jam, but with the river jam, at least you could put real pressure on some 10x and use x. But given that he has a much bigger stack than yours, I don't think this is the ideal spot to run some gangster bluff. So I think it's fine to give up. And yeah, as I mentioned, and as we can see, I don't think they fold the deuce x too many times.
Yeah.
All right, let's see the next one, which is borderline. Like the 18 big blind stack opens, and on one hand he should be quite tight because he doesn't have too much incentive to enter any pot, because he can sit tight and wait until one of you
Yeah.
busted. But on the other hand, this is probably the best best position for him to open, because the big blind is on the small, the big stack is on the small blind. So this is this spot where the big stack is the most likely to actually fold, and that's why I think he will be like reasonably wide with some blockerish type hands. Yeah, I can imagine opening. Yeah, with 10 BB, you will have a relatively easy time realizing equity on your card, or like backdoor flush draw and two over cards you cannot really really flop, but something like that. Like you don't need much to like check jam or donk bet or whatever you want to do. But on the other hand, many times with this hand, you will have to commit all your chips, and therefore the risk premium is quite high on your chips. Yeah, I would call, I would defend, but I can imagine this being a fold rather. Okay, let's see the next one, and this was quite surprising for me. You are clearly the shortest stack here, and everyone folded to you, and you decided to limp. Um,
Yeah, I think I should be jamming this.
yeah, it's fairly clear. Like, let me switch back to full screen and check this one, because I ran it um, in HRC, and we can see that Jack Jack 8 suited is just deeply in the pushing range. So it's not even borderline, like making you almost one full buy-in of the tournament, which is huge. Like obviously this is a mid stakes tournament with $20 bounty, $20 buy-in, so it's not super significant dollar wise, but given that this can make you a buy-in, this means that if you miss this spot, then your ROI will be heavily affected. So yeah, this is a clear jam. As you can see, even hands like Jack 4 suited and Queen 3 suited. So there is a lot to learn from this hand, not just that a Jack 8 suited is a jam, but also hands like low suited connectors, any King X, and any pair obviously, but any offsuit like two medium cards are also jamming hands, because in this spot, like, you will not really get any better spot on this final table given the stacks. This is your chance to go for it. And also there is not much pressure on you because you are now clearly the shortest stack, so you can pressure or not really pressure, but you can try. Yeah, but after limping, he'll jam a lot of hands which probably he folds, like King Deuce and some like I can imagine the big stack being aggro and jamming on you with even some worse hands like 10-8, 10-9, those type of hands.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I really dislike this limp. And the next one was an open spot, and I actually don't like this position to open. First of all, you are now one of the middling stacks, so any of the other players can put a lot of pressure on you, because there are not many hands you want to raise call even against the 16 big blind stack, or even against the 9 big blind stack. You probably want to fold many of your opening hands from here. And on the other hand, the chip leader is the big blind, who will be much more likely to give you action to not fold to your open raise. Any questionable, any borderline hand he will call or 3-bet you with. And he can also take some like medium hands, like even hands like Jack 10 of suit. If he thinks that you open too wide, then he can just jam on you. And if you open these type of hands, those jams will print, because what can you raise call with here? Like,
Yeah, I've got to be aces, kings, queens, ace, king, really. That's all I can call it, really.
yeah, like I know, I can imagine, like, given that if you call the rejam with ace king suited, if you call the rejam and you win, then you are going to be the chip leader, so you overtake two players. In these situations, HRC prefers gambling a little bit. So I think you are not super tight, like only aces, kings, or queens, but definitely very tight. So somewhere around 3%, 4%, something like that. And if you open these kind of hands and many of the broadways which you feel like you have to, then you can open like 20%, and then you fold 80% of the times. That's just way enough for any of the players to start putting pressure on you. So I really dislike this open. In general, you want to rather go on the tighter side against yeah, when the big stack when the chip leader is on the big blind. So yep.
Yeah, I don't know why I'd open this one. As soon as I saw it, I thought I should be opening this.
Yeah, like maybe you had the impression that the other guys see you as a tight player, because maybe you folded some rounds before that, prior to this hand, but still I think folding is the
Yeah,
best. Yeah, this is a questionable flop. Like normally you want to see bet some on this texture, but given that, like, um, like I just have a feeling that his calling range is just very much in this neighborhood, like many gut shots,
Yeah,
many eights, many lower gut shots, double gut shots, and some flush draws. And with these two colors, we actually block some of his auto folds, not too many, but some. And I think it's just better to give up.
yeah,
But I can imagine a tiny bet being profitable. Still, I'm not 100% sure. And yeah, on the turn, yeah, we can fold out some gut shots, which would otherwise probably bluff us. But on the other hand, he can have many like gut shot plus flush draw, pair plus flush draw, etc. So I think just giving it up, taking our equity is fine. And on this river, we just have to give up. And yeah, not the best.
yeah,
And here's a pair of aces. Yeah, I like the limp. If you take a look at what like the Monker ranges are with 10 BB, then we can see that like obviously this cannot be 100% applied in huge ICM situations, but aces are definitely one of the first hands to limp, and yeah, so I think it's fine. And we flopped too good actually, so it's
yeah,
hard to get
yeah,
any action. But I think the best you can do is still betting. First of all, you would bet a lot of your marginal limps, like if you limped with 8-6 with with diamonds or with one heart or something like that, which is not which was not strong enough to jam, then you would probably try a bet here. So so he will probably not fold, as we saw earlier. He didn't fold the bottom pair, and he will not fold the bottom pair here. And getting that one bet here is just very important. And also, if he somehow has a gut shot, but I don't think he can have the higher gut shot, any of the higher gut shots, because those jam pre-flop. But if he has one of the lower gut shots, like 5 deuce, 5-4, then he probably peels with those as well. With some backdoor flush draws, he probably peels a 1BB bet as well. So I would go for a bet here and expect to get some calls. And in the unlikely case that he has a flush draw, then it's even better, because you may get full stack as well if he jams on you. Yeah, on the turn we can bet. I would go with a slightly bigger size, because I would assume if I have checking range on this flop, then I have I would probably bluff enough on this turn as well. Not sure. One of my next studies are going to be about the delayed continuation bets. I will probably write a post to the blog, and check this site, blog.com. You can see some strategical, some mental game posts here. I highly recommend this to check it out. It's all free content, and
I've read most of it. It's very good.
thank you. And yeah, the next one is going to be about delayed c bets, because I see that this is a topic which almost everyone struggles with, and I actually think that my knowledge is not steady enough either. So I will run some PIO simulations and dig into it. Yep. Okay. It doesn't matter too much, because you will just fold it out anyway. And yeah, the next hand where we had low match is this King 10 suited. Normally this would be a very fine min raise, but given how much pressure you can put on your opponents here, I prefer just jamming here, because if you just min raise, probably they saw you min raising a lot, you would raise super wide here, because you can put a lot of pressure on all the guys. So So if you just min raise and they have something like ace 9, ace 10, ace jack, king queen, king jack suited, these type of hands, or even some low pocket pairs, they just grab it and pray a little bit and jam on you, and they realize equity. Actually, you fold this hand, many times flipping or close to flipping. But if you just jam, they have a super hard time calling with anything. I also run this just to check it out. So
I was going to say, what else would you open jam? Is this low down or is this somewhere in the middle?
like you can see, this is what HRC suggests, 80, a solid 81%.
Wow.
You can jam here, so you can put quite a lot of pressure on them. And yeah, the short stack behind you can call with sixes and ace 5 suited, ace 9. Actually, I can imagine the 9BB stack just calling tighter than this, because most of them like probably will feel that maybe one of the guys behind me will call and I can ladder up. And I can see them going tighter than this, like not calling king jack of suit, not calling king 10, king 9, definitely not calling queen jack suited, most of the guys. So actually, I think they will be tighter than this. The small blind should fold ace king off, which is probably not realistic, so we can adjust that one. Ace queen, like some of them will fold, other guys will not, but I think many of them will just call something like this. Or let's take a look at how your pushing ranges are adjusted if you assume that both of the blinds will call with something like this. Then let's run it. And then we can see that you have to tighten up to 50% only. So
Only.
yeah, so you can only push with hands like 7-6 suited, and yeah, that's actually a more reasonable range, like jack 3 suited. But those are like those make very little profit. So probably you have to limit yourself to queen 4 suited and better hands, which is still really wide. So I would probably, yeah, and also, like, if your opponents are not aggressive enough, not playing back at you at all, or clearly on the tighter side, then some of these pushes are not mandatory to be pushes. Like, they can be just min raises as well, and they work probably better with lower variance. That's fine. But king 10 suited, it has just too much equity to risk being repushed with something like nines and all those hands which this hand is basically flipping with. So I would jam this. I'm not a big fan of these oversized pre-flop moves, but this is one of the few spots where I think it that's the best. Yeah, this, once again, it's marginal, but this is a great spot for him to go for this big size small blind open, putting a lot of pressure on you as you are the middling stack. So if he is a competent player, and then he can do this with a very wide range. And given that it only affects like 10% of your range, or even less, then I think I would go for a call. But it's like not mandatory at all. It's definitely a close spot.
I'm not sure if it was this player or player one, but one of them was really bad, and he was opening all sorts and just firing off. So I started adjusting by trying to play more hands against him. I'll probably see it later on.
Yeah, like if you had any reads, then it's very fine to adjust in these spots.
Yeah.
And the next one is limp with 10-6 of suit. That's fine, I think. in this spot you cannot put a lot of pressure on this guy, so you don't need to go very aggressively. Yeah, so the next one is this limp with 10-6 of suit. That's completely fine. This is not one of the spots where you can put too much pressure on your opponent, so limping is fine. And on this flop, it's very important not to c-bet too much, and this is actually a perfect hand to just check. You have an overcard kicker, so your hand is not super vulnerable, and yeah, checking is very fine. You made a bet, which I don't like. Yeah, on this texture you can go with range checking, because your opponent will have actually have some quite a few two pairs like 6 deuce, 8 deuce, 8-6. So you and also a lot of gut shots, a lot of open enders, and a lot of one pair hands as well. This is just better for his range than yours. So you have to be very, very cautious when betting this, and you generally want to bet big if you bet any, because your strong hands are going to be like super monsters like aces, kings, or stuff like that, which want to avoid cheap turns, because your opponent will have some hands like 4-3, 6-5, 4-5, 7-5, 7-4, those type of hands, and many of the low cards will improve that range significantly. And I'm not saying like with 15 big blinds of a stack you can still put in aces and kings, but those are not going to be like fist pump put-ins, but like okay, I'm putting it in, but you can easily have like two pair. They can easily have like two pairs and straights and stuff like that. So I would be very cautious betting this, but we being the turn, and this is a great card for us for a range. We will have a lot of straight draws when betting this flop, so the 10 hits us quite hard, and your opponent jams on you. We are happy with that. And he somehow had 8-4, which I just don't really get. Maybe he thought that you have many straight draws on the turn still, and he wanted to protect his hand, but that's just bad. Like he should even if it sounds crazy, he should probably raise with this hand. There is not much pressure on him. His hand is very likely to be good on the flop, but very vulnerable to overcards because he doesn't have an overcard kicker. So in his shoes, I would call with 8-9 and 10-9, and I would raise with queen 8 and better, and I would raise with some like very weak backdoors or something like that, maybe one overcard and backdoor, and he should float with a lot of hands which block backdoor flush draws, like even hands like Jack 5 of suit with one club and one diamond. He should definitely call with. The reason behind this is that with that type of hand, he blocks many of the turned draws you could turn. So if he has the jack, if he has the 5, if he has the jack of diamond, if he has the 5 of club, then he blocks many potential draws you could pick up on the turn. And therefore you will give up on the turn much more frequently, and then he can execute his float, the second part of his float with a small bet and take the pot down. So this is a very strange but important concept that you should not only be conscious about your like really existing backdoor throws, but you should also float with backdoor draw blockers or something like that. Like I don't know what the exact terminology for this, but you cannot go too far with floating and raising and being sticky in this spot, especially on this flop, especially against someone who bets too wide. So yeah, but anyway, you eliminated him, and you get into the heads up. And as far as I see in the Sharscope results, you made a deal. So the heads up was,
Yeah, I think we chopped it. I think.
yeah. You were basically the same stack, and
Yeah,
you decided to chop, which,
yeah,
like, I don't really want to judge. I'm just saying that normally, especially in the lower mid stakes tournaments, many of your opponents will have close to zero experience playing heads up. So before deciding to chop it, I would I would like, unless it's if it's unless it's about a huge sum of money, you definitely don't want to play heads up for. So if it's a life changing money, it's very okay to chop it. But if it's more like a normal tournament, then I would definitely start playing a few hands just to see if he is comfortable playing like
yeah,
wide ranges, floating, check raising, defending, whatever it's necessary to be a strong heads up player. So if you are interested in,
I think I chat scoped all the table, and I think this guy had a really good ability. If it's the one I'm thinking,
uh-huh.
so I think he was a good player.
Yeah, like against any stronger player than you, then it's completely fine, or at least a reasonable player, it's completely fine to chop it in a heads up. Actually, I was surprised that when I first played with Patrick Leonard, it was probably in the year when he was number one in Bucket Fives list, which normally doesn't mean like super too much, but he was definitely a very strong guy, exploiting a lot of the population tendencies. So and we got to a big final table, a W Coupe final table, and it was a shootout format. And before the final table, he approached me on Facebook and said that, "Hey, see you are a competent player. So how what's your thinking about like making a deal, six way, or reducing the jumps?" Maybe it was leveling. Maybe he was just interested. Like, what's my approach to the final table? I can easily
Yeah,
imagine that because he's a super smart guy. But on the other hand, like he's conscious about like when you should play for a huge heads up, like for a huge amount of money, and what bankroll you should actually have to play a $1,000 heads up, or $10,000 heads up, or $100,000 heads up. Like, and many of the players are just not thinking responsibly about these situations, and they go with their ego, and they play heads up, which they should not. But in normal tournaments, my like I can only repeat myself. Like, first, I would definitely play a few hands just to see if there is a major leak in your opponent's game. But if you already
uh, if this player was Patrick Leonard, I'd probably not make a deal because I think I could beat him.
uh,
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
All right. Anyway, so this was the tournament. Basically, it's over. You chopped it, and yeah, like you clearly have, as I mentioned in the last episode, you clearly have a very good, very strong game. What I would suggest you as a next step is to build the habit of running HRC simulations, at least like one HRC simulation per day. Like, it really takes 1 minute to
Yeah,
copy a marked hand of yours, paste it to HRC, and click the run button, and just take the result.
I do a couple a week, but I don't really do any ICM ones. I should really focus on the
Mhm.
uh, the money spots really.
Yeah. Yeah, but I can hardly think of a better, more efficient way of studying than running HRC simulation. So I highly recommend this to you. And also, if you want to practice like heads up game, then you can go to this see the original profile, and you can take I uploaded a few heads up I played, and I'm already in discussion with some heads up regulars. They will probably upload more heads up sit and goes with detailed commentary, but you can also see some of mine, and I try to break it down. I'm far from a heads up expert, but I consider myself being a better heads up player than most of the field. So you can see,
I'll have a look at these.
yeah, so you can see my suggestion here, my reasoning, and yeah, just a few heads up sit and goes and heads ups of smaller stakes tournaments versus different types of rags. There is a heads up against an over aggressive guy. This is the one. There is another heads up with against a normal guy, and yeah, you can practice them. And also, if you are interested, there is a $1 million spin and go. If you haven't tried it, that like it's just
I'll have a look. Didn't know that was on.
this is an actual $1 million spin and go. It blows my mind. Like 33 hands or yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a guy in this table I used to do coaching for, and
Did did he win it?
yeah, he did. So,
Brilliant.
it's like it's really crazy. I actually before I ran into this content, I never ever considered playing any spin and go because I just took them as like some kind of new format trying to ruin MTTs. But we actually tested the hand package sharing function on this hand package, this tournament. So when we were developing Check Decide, I had to replay this hand package like 50 times at least. And even for the 50th time, it was like still like pretty exciting, and like imagining like the final flip, what kind of pressure they had on them, and like it was a $900,000 flip on the at the end. Like obviously not, because
Is that it? Oh,
the guy already had a big chip lead, but still, like any earlier flip or whatever
yeah,
they
yeah.
played, it's really crazy. And yeah, I recommend it to anyone who is interested in spins, and even for those who are not. So because this is quite crazy. Anyway, this was it for today, I think, because we are done with this with this Tony. We will see what is coming next week. If you see this show and you think that you have a tournament you would like to review in this format, you speak good enough English. As you can see, my English is far from perfect as well. So don't be shy. Direct message me on Discord, and yeah, we will definitely come with a tournament. I'm just not sure what exactly. Anyway, thank you for being here, Nick, and very good luck for the upcoming year.
Thank
And
you. And Joe, when you start playing again?
and I will definitely keep an eye on you and post a lot to the Discord server. And yeah, maybe one day we can do some more episodes on a huge
Yeah,
score of
brilliant.
yours.
Yeah, a lot about WSOP win.
All right. Thank you guys. Signing off. Luigi was here. Nick,